Football is here. I'm berry-tramel. He's tom-shatel. This is the Tom and Barry Show. We go back a long way, back to Big 8 days. We're living in the present, though. Big 10, SEC, a lot of Big 12 mixed in, and the Big 12 got us off to a great start to this college football season. Tom, we had Kansas State, Iowa State, great game in Dublin. We had families fighting in the street. It wasn't even opposite families. There was people of their own families.
I
You thought
missed
it
all
was
that.
you thought it was West Virginia and Auburn, but no, it was the family of K-State quarterback Avery Johnson. Iowa State gets the Wildcats over in Ireland. The only thing we problem was we couldn't see the chalk, the yard lines, the hash marks. That was a disaster. Otherwise, it was everything it could be. Tom's got a big game this week. He's got Nebraska, Cincinnati down at Arrowhead Stadium. I've got two dud games. Oklahoma State playing one AA opponents. So not much to talk about south of the state of Kansas. But man, Tom, that was a fun game in Dublin.
Yeah, there was, it was kind of a slow start. Sometimes openers a little sloppy, and the teams are kind of feeling each other out. But the second half really got going. I have to say, I picked K State to win that game, and I was more impressed with Iowa State than I guess I was disappointed in K State. If I was so impressed, Barry, that I picked Iowa State to go to the playoff. I think that I've got, the announcers kept talking about, will we see these two teams again in the Big 12 championship game? And I thought, well, I wonder what anybody in Salt Lake City thinks about that. Because I think Utah's pretty damn good. But what I really liked about Iowa State was that I mean, we know they got a coach, they got a quarterback, they got defense, but the running game really impressed me. They were running all over K-State, and I didn't necessarily expect that. If they could do that in the Big 12, they've got BYU and the Arizona State and Ames. So I like them. I picked them. We'll see. We'll see if it holds up.
Well, Tom, you live in Omaha. You're not far from the Kansas border, from the Iowa border. Just really not far from the Iowa border. So you keep up with Iowa State and K-State, but you don't cover those guys much anymore.
Right.
And of course, you know as well as anybody the Bill Snyder story. But Matt Campbell at Iowa State has done a heck of a job. Now, about every 10 years, whether it was Jim Walden or Dan McCarney, whoever it might be, heck, Johnny Majors, I think. No, maybe the old boy that went to Earl Bruce, maybe instead of Johnny Majors. About every 10 years, they'd sneak up and bite Nebraska. But, they couldn't sustain anything. Matt Campbell has sustained it in Ames. He turned Iowa State into a winning program, and that was before the Sooners and the Longhorns fled town. So this is a legitimate coach they got in Ames. I love Matt Campbell. He's building something solid. And for them to get that victory, they didn't look good in the first half. Their offense was sort of meh. K-State, same way. Well, that turned into a pretty good slugfest in the second half. And I thought Matt Campbell's 4th-and-3 gamble, I don't know if it's a gamble, his 4th-and-3 decision, up 3, 2.5 minutes left. You're on your opponent's 20-yard line. And you said, you know what? A field goal is not going to put them away. Let's throw a pass and try to put them away. And I thought that was brilliant decision making. He said, we got a chance to win the game right here. Let's win it. I salute Matt Campbell for that 4th down pass.
Yeah, I agree. I think Barry, there's something about openers. If you think you got a team, go for it. Attack and don't play not to lose. I think the opener, in a lot of ways, can change, especially a conference game like this, can really launch your whole season. And it can backfire sometimes if you're not that team and you lose. We saw Florida State last year lost in Ireland and never recovered. But I agree. Matt Campbell's got a little Bill Snyder in him. He's that kind of guy that he's in charge of the whole thing. And Jamie Pollard, the AD, kind of leaves him alone to run his program. And they wear black. I hate it as a Big Eight guy,
Me
but
too.
it works
Me
for
too.
them. He has stuff that Snyder, I'm a little surprised he hasn't left for a Big Ten or SEC job. I know people in Iowa State will go, "What do you mean?" Well, money is what I mean,
Right.
and chances to play for the national championship is what I mean. But I think he's kind of a guy that maybe some ADs won't necessarily look at because he's got to do it his way. And so, in fact, I remember Jamie Pollard once saying, "Well, yeah, he could go somewhere else, but they're not going to let him wear they're not going to let him wear black. They're going to change the uniforms to black for him." So I agree. I'd love to see them win a conference. Their fans are really good fans. They
Great
go
fans.
through a lot. They're behind Iowa all the time, and they have a good program. I love Jim Walden's one of my all-time favorite guys, and I remember interviewing Jim Walden in like the late '80s in his office in Ames, and he had a big portrait, big photo of the Orange Bowl stadium, aerial view of the Orange Bowl behind his desk. And I said, "Jim," I said, "what's that all about? What do you got the Orange Bowl going on in your office?" And he goes, "You got to have a dream." I said, "There you go." I mean, it was OU Nebraska every year, and but you got to have a dream. I hope the Cyclones. I think they got a dream this year. I think they can get the playoff.
That'd be fun. That would be lots of fun. So yeah, here's what we can move on after this. But people in my new neck of the woods, the SEC, they have no clue how great the fans are in Ames and Manhattan.
Yep.
I mean, these are fans that suffered not for 5 years, not for 10 years, for 60 years. They had
Yep.
no reason to even be a collective group. And here they are fighting the good fight. You go to Ames, the stadium's full. You go to Manhattan, stadium's rocking. Just great atmospheres, great fan bases. When K-State and Iowa State have success, I just think it's the greatest thing of all time. So
Well,
I salute them, and they're doing great. And K-State's not dead.
nope.
One loss doesn't knock you out of the Arlington. Two losses doesn't even knock you out of Arlington. So it's a fun conference. I miss it. I'm having fun in the SEC. I don't know if you're having fun in the Big Ten, but boy,
I'm trying.
I sure had, I
I'm
sure had
trying.
fun in the Big 12. Speaking of the Big Ten, your Huskers, they go down to Arrowhead, some old stomping grounds. Am I right about this? Y'all have made the trip down to cover the Huskers twice to Arrowhead. They played OSU in '98.
Yep.
They played OU in the '06 Big 12 title game. Is that right?
That was Bob Simmons, OSU, I
Yeah,
think,
that's right.
'98, and
That's
they it was
exactly
an
right.
October game,
Great game.
and that was Frank
24-17.
Solich's first year, and a little uneven. Didn't have a quarterback yet. The Crouch hadn't emerged. He emerged later. Um, they were still kind of trying to figure things out. Um, and yeah, it took a goal line stand to beat him.
Yeah.
And then the '06 Big 12 title game against OU. Uh, Zach Taylor, son of Sherwood, the
Hometown
old
boy.
Sooner,
Yeah.
and they it was the people in Nebraska still say that was one of the coldest games they've ever sat
Oh,
through.
oh, it was cold.
And
It was cold.
Nebraska fumbled early and it just never recovered. And I always tell people my favorite story from that game is driving back up I-29 the next day, stop into a quick shop, St. Joe, to get a pop. The guy in front of me is wearing Husker gear. He turns around. He's got blood caked on his face. Actually, I think it was just frozen from the night before. But I mean, this is a guy that had the full weekend experience. I saw his team play, tailgated, had some beers, got in a fight, and watched his team lost. Now he's going home. I mean, that's kind of what reminds me of this. But I have to tell you, I haven't been. I used to go to Chiefs games, and I kind of stopped covering them, which just in time for them to become a dynasty.
Yeah.
But we don't do that anymore. But I haven't been to Arrowhead since that game in '06. So um, Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Everybody's looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to the traffic jam going in, but Nebraska fans, we're going to turn this into a Chiefs game. It's sold out. The tailgating will they open the gates at 3:30 on Thursday. People will be there lined up at 2 o'clock probably or one. Um, and it's going to be a quite a scene. I like the setup for Nebraska. Cincinnati's a good program. Not as good as when they had Fickle, but they've got good players. Um, it'll be a test. But I like the fact Nebraska has no hype. Um, there was one story out there about a week or so ago, the 25 most intriguing coaches in college football this year. Matt Rule wasn't in the top 25. I liked it. They haven't earned the right to be intriguing. They haven't earned the right to be interesting or hyped or rated. Just go do it. And they're going to have all their fans there. It's an ESPN. I don't like the deadline, but it's a great opportunity for them. And I covered a couple kickoff classics. Of course, the '83 and '94 Huskers were generational type talent teams, but this the opportunity is still the same for you to kind of ignite your season, jumpstart the whole thing. I think you can do that in one of these kind of games. It can also go the other way if you lose, but everybody here is excited.
I mean, a couple things. One is I read where your Huskers were going to play Cincinnati in Indianapolis, and then
Right.
switch game Kansas City. Was that a Cincinnati decision just to sell more tickets?
Yes. And
Because I figure, planning.
basically they said I think they wanted to. I mean, they were. I guess you imagine. I think their stadium is called Nippert Stadium. I worked in Cincinnati one summer, and I remember looking at it. Can't imagine this game being played there. Um, I mean, this needs to be in an NFL stadium, and I mean, I don't know if there's any other details there, but I think it was pretty much, hey, let's go there. So
Well,
and maybe Lucas Oil for some reason was not available, but um,
well, let
you
me
know,
tell you something, Tom. Let me tell you something. I've actually covered a game in Nippert Stadium. The Sooners, they sent them up there in 23. Goodbye gift for leaving the Big 12. And it's the coolest setting of all time. I mean, we're used to these, you know, out here on the plains, these big
yeah,
stadiums in the middle of campuses, beautiful, lots of space, greenery, very pastoral, throughout the Big 12 and even the Southwest Conference. That's sort of an SEC, even maybe the Big 10.
yeah,
Nippert Stadium is an urban campus. I mean, any place they've got to put a building, they put it up. And they've nestled a football stadium, which is now 105 years old. They found a place to just put it right down in the middle of stuff. And it's at the bottom of a hill. You can see it from the top of the hill. So it's a really cool scene. And you get down there and you're like from like the seat, the top seat to to like the athletic administration building is like 100 feet, and
yeah.
student union is like 150 feet beyond the seat on the north side, and then on the what maybe the maybe it's the east side is like the student wellness center. I mean, it's just like they put the perimeter around all these buildings because they can't petition it off. So it's a really cool setting. I'm sorry you don't get to see it, but Arrowhead will be fun. All right, now football wise,
Yeah.
Dominic Raiola, is he the real deal?
Dylan, right? You're right. Dominic's the dad.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, Dylan. Yeah, I think he is. He's certainly got the look, but he's to me, he needs to be the man, and you don't be the man by necessarily uh, churning out ESPN highlights or throwing beautiful, pretty passes. You do that by winning games, moving the chains, scoring touchdowns, making plays, making the offensive line and receivers better, making everybody run. When to me, his goal should be when he runs on the field, everybody on both sides of the ball knows, uh-oh, the man has arrived. Your teammates know, okay, now we're going to score. Now we're going to do it. it's a little bit like Mahomes. Even though Dylan's guy is Matthew Stafford, his dad played for the Lions. Dylan grew up in Detroit, hanging around in the Lions practices in the locker room. Stafford's his godfather or his mentor, but he loves Mahomes. They talk. Um, when Mahomes comes on the field, okay, they're going to score. It might be game over. Um, OU's had a few of those kind of guys. So is Nebraska, Tommy Frazier. He needs to not necessarily match any of that, but just become that guy by, as Dana Holgerson said, making routine plays. And by the way, I've learned so much about Dana Holgerson in the last year. I love the guy even more um, because he's old school. He wants to run it. He wants to play boring football, and then I thought he was air raid all the way. I think he got it. He got kicked out of the air raid club, but um, yeah, there's a lot on the line for him. I think Mahomes will be there. Uh, the Cincinnati alums, Travis and Jason Kelsey will both be there, probably wearing their Cincinnati gear. I'm
Uh,
sure ESPN cameras will find them whenever they possibly can in a
have you
suite.
have you
And
checked have you checked the Taylor Swift concert?
well,
Is she
I
going to
didn't
be
want to bring
there?
it up, but apparently there has been news today.
Oh, yeah, big news, big news.
I'm guess it's I don't know if she'll be there because her fiance is not playing, but because and I mean, with the news today and the TV cameras there, who knows? She may be there front and center. I don't know.
Have you had
But
any? Let me ask you a question. You got daughters. Um,
oh yeah.
the Taylor Swift phenomenon as it relates to the NFL. Have you experienced that just as a fan? Because I have. My girl's really not into paying attention to football. My granddaughters, but and only a little bit Taylor Swift. But their friend across the street from me comes over Sunday afternoons. She's glued to the TV when the Chiefs are playing. And if I flip. I go back between Fox and NBC. I mean, CBS. I'm not going to sit and watch commercials
What
when
are you
the
doing?
Packers are playing the Bears. And you flip off of a Chief game to the Fox. Claire will go nuts on me. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? So this
I
could
love
be
it. No,
if Taylor Swift is there, it's the biggest game in Nebraska football history. I
they
guess that's
might
the way
be.
to say it.
They might be. They no, they my youngest Anna loves her. All three of them, all my three of my daughters and my wife got to go to her concert in Arrowhead 2 summers ago, and it was an unbelievable experience for them. And it's but Anna, when she first started going to Chiefs games, she would watch a little bit just to see her on TV, but she really wasn't interested in the game. And she didn't watch. She stopped watching games to see her, so it didn't last very long. But they obviously still follow her on social media and TikTok and all that jazz. So, but yeah, it's. I keep thinking, when is she going to be the halftime show? Maybe that won't happen, but um, I don't know. But yeah, that'll be quite the scene Thursday night, and if Nebraska can put together a few touchdowns, maybe they'll have a chance to win.
Well, I'll be in Stillwater watching Tennessee Martin put on the shoulder pads. So you know why? I tell people say, why is OSU playing Tennessee Martin? I say, because Tennessee Ernie Ford is not available. But, they actually have a pretty good FCS team, so we'll see what happens. But all right, let's move down. Huge opening weekend, Tom. We got three top 10 showdowns, which is remarkable for to have three in 1 week, much less opening week. Let's start at the top. My SEC against your Big Ten. Now, I don't know. Has Nebraska developed hatred for anybody in the Big Ten? Who do they despise? Who do they like? I don't. I know how they feel about most of the Big 12. I don't really have any idea how the Huskers feel about the Big Ten. Who do they like and not like?
Oh, in this game, they if they had to root for, they'd probably root for. They still hate Texas,
Well, I figured as much. Yeah.
and we can devote an entire show to why that's misguided, but I won't go there now. Um, but oh yeah, they look at Ohio State as like, yeah, they don't like them, but they don't really have. It's not personal. It's just, oh, those guys,
Yeah.
all they do is win, and they're arrogant, and so on and so forth. No, there's nothing. This is not a. I don't think this will be an emotional game. I think people. This is Arch Manning curiosity game. It's like, okay, we've seen him play. He's played bits, here and there. They rotated guys in. They played against Ohio State in the bowl game or the whatever the playoff game last year. I guess it was in a bowl. And so, but now he's Arch Manning. Now he's different. Um, he'll so and Ohio State's going to have a new quarterback. They're obviously have all kind of NFL. There'll be NFL scouts looking at this thing for weeks. But yeah, I don't think it's to me. This is an intriguing game. They're all intriguing games, Barry, because the playoff and the at-larges and I mean, there will be a case study on these games. If the losers of these three games, what happens to them? Is this will playing these games help them? And everybody's going to be paying attention to that.
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating game. I am sort of predisposed, like a lot of Americans, to resent Arch Manning, right? I mean, born with a silver spoon in his mouth, gifted as the next great thing. But at SEC Media Days, I got to tell you, the guy won me over. He's down to earth, he's charming, he's self-deprecating. He seemed like a pretty cool guy. And you know
Me
what?
too.
Who does who doesn't like Peyton and Eli Manning? Who doesn't like Archie Manning? I don't know why we ever got it in our head that Arch Manning would not be cool. He comes from a family of nothing but likable people. So I don't know why we don't like Arch Manning, other than he might be playing for the wrong team. I do think Texas has the quarterback advantage. I don't know who's got the advantage everywhere else. Both teams, particularly the Texas offensive line, having to rebuild. Ohio State, lost a ton of great players. It's a fascinating game. I'll be glued to it. Fox is lucky that it got it for
Yeah,
the big
I
game.
my favorite Manning might be Cooper. I love the story and his sense of humor. The older brother who likes to, use the needle on the other two. Um, I love the fact that I'm a San Diego Charger fan, so I'm not Eli is not but he's won me over the years. I understand why he didn't want to go there. But when Arch walked into the SEC media days, and I'm watching on TV, and he looks like I'm not saying he will look like his parents dressed him, but he wasn't manufactured or processed. It wasn't a power suit, and it didn't look like he was trying too hard. It looked like he just was kind of going to church or Sunday school, and they kind of threw some khakis on him and a blazer, and somebody tied his tie, and it was very not unassuming, but I love the fact that he looked like an everyman or an every kid in some way. Even though he's making more money than anybody, but yeah, I root for him because of the way he handled that. But Ohio State, Texas is used to big stadiums. I mean, there's nothing bigger, nastier, and meaner than OU Texas. I mean, they do that every single year. So, Ohio's stadium isn't going to be anything that they haven't seen. But, the Buckeyes, it's they've got players, they've got a coach who, I mean, they're both. This will be a big game for number one, Texas. How good are you? What do you got? And all eyes will be on Arch.
Yeah, the coaching matchup's also fascinating to me. Sort of like Arch. If you're from Oklahoma, you're predisposed. Doesn't matter OU, OSU, anybody in the Big 12, predisposed to not like Texas. But you know what? Steve Sarkisian is not a bad guy to listen to talk to. I enjoy listening to him to talk. He's only slightly arrogant, and he's got reason to be arrogant. And he's a pretty sharp guy. I like Steve Sarkisian. From afar, I'm not a fan of Ryan Day. I mean, I thought his antics at the end of that Notre Dame game when they needed two plays
Yeah,
to score against 10 guys and then talk about how tough they are and calling out 89-year-old Lou Holtz. I thought,
yeah,
well, this guy's cuckoo. I don't know. I'm sort of a Sark fan in this game.
yeah. I agree. Day is he's been hard to root for. I think the Michigan game last year, especially, hopefully humbled him a little bit. I think it did. The way the game ended with um, Michigan planting flags and long logos and all this stuff. It didn't make him look very good. And then he comes back and wins. I think he's been hopefully. I think he hopefully has been humbled a little bit. I think he's maybe maturing a little bit um, and toning all that stuff down. I like Sark. Um, I've always liked BYU. Lavelle Edwards. I've been a fan of their program, um, and you know, I believe Sark got humbled. He humbled himself. The whole USC thing, the way that went down, had to go into the Saban rehab program, and I think he's a hell of a coach. I think he came out of all this stuff better, and I think he's the perfect fit. I thought, wow, this will be interesting at Texas. I don't know how good a head coach he is. At Texas, they don't, you got to be really, really good, or else. Is this going to be Tom Herman too, or is he going to be different? And I think he might be the best coach. I mean, in college football. If not, he'll be up. He's up there, and he's the kind of guy who I think is going to win a national title. Be interesting to see if he can do it with Arch.
Well, let's go out to Death Valley East. Great game. LSU at Clemson. Two Tigers, two Death Valleys, two recent national champions. LSU Clemson, great, great season opener. One of these guys needs it worse than the other. Dabo's sort of a made man. Brian Kelly is not in the Bayou. So, how do you see LSU Clemson?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the Dabo comeback bandwagon this year, Barry. I picked Clemson to win the national title. I think they have that kind of team. They have that kind of quarterback that you don't really hear about much because of Arch. I think their schedule. I looked at their schedule. It's anybody. The toughest game will be the last one at South Carolina, but they've got the big ACC ones at home. Um, I feel like Dabo kind of during the NIL portal days got dragged into there as like this guy that's out of touch, and boy, he's not going to make it. He doesn't get it. He's not changing with the times. So I think this is a little bit of a thing for him to say, "I'm back." Um, Brian Kelly is man. The guy's a hard ass, and I think he's an interesting fit at LSU. I don't know how he fits there. He's got to win. That's how he fits there, and it's a big game for him. I mean, that's the kind of place where you can win nine and get fired. I think. I mean, I really, if you don't win the right ones, um, I think he needs to get to a playoff soon, and this game would really help him do that. But I don't know, just something about LSU with him I don't trust. I don't know what it is, but So I'm kind of riding Clemson right now, but that's a fun game.
Yeah, I actually picked the other side, not just uh, necessarily in this game, but to win the national title. I picked LSU to win the national title.
Okay, there you
I
go.
listen, everybody they hire wins one and then they get fired. The last three coaches have won the national title. So it's a place you can win big. Five straight season opening losses for Brian Kelly, which shows two things. One is they haven't played well. Number two, they're playing games you can lose. Got Mississippi State in the COVID year of 2020, UCLA in the Rose Bowl in 21, back-to-back years, neutral fields, Florida State. Then last year they lose in Vegas to USC. So it's time he won one just to get that monkey off his back. Clemson, Brent Venables is of course, a prodigy of Dabo Swinney. Brent likes to keep and retain his players and has done a good job of it along with Dabo. Use the portal sparingly. If you need a quarterback, use it, and he has. But there's something to be said for Dabo clinging to the old ways and still winning. So I wish him well. Finally, we got about 3 minutes. Old school Notre Dame, Miami. It's not necessarily Catholics versus convicts, but it's the old school, that old rivalry from 30 something years ago. Great game down in Miami Gardens, Florida, Tom. Notre Dame, Miami.
Apparently, Mario Cristobal is going to coach the game from the press box just because he can. Uh, Interesting move, maybe out of the Schnellenberger book of unorthodox. But yeah, I thought he was going to bring back Miami the way it was. He's been way too slow to do that. Um, but you know what? It took Harbaugh about 4 years to get things his way at Michigan. Maybe it's just taking him longer. The I'm not a huge fan of the quarterback from Georgia. I know he's good, but I don't know. I don't think he's Cam Ward good. So Notre Dame is reloading the quarterback. I love their coach. Uh, they got their swagger definitely back. Um, but I probably picked Miami in this one. I think it's just time for him to get this thing going. So, but don't forget Bama, Florida State either.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm picking Notre Dame down in Miami. Huge Marcus Freeman fan. Really impressed with him. I just think he's built a solid program. Alabama, Florida State's a fascinating game. It's Florida State. Nebraska thought they've had trouble. Oklahoma thought they've had trouble. Florida State goes 2-10 last year after starting the previous year 13-0. That's just among the good secondary games we've got. Tom, it's been fun. We got week one upon us. I hope you have a great time in Arrowhead. Bring back some good memories. Get me some Taylor Swift photos. Just go to Garazzo's, have a good time.
There
Uh,
you go.
just knock them dead in Kansas City. Good luck to the Huskers. That's what I always tell my old friends in Nebraska.
All right, sir. See you next week.
All right, we'll talk next week. The Tom and Barry Show. We love our college football, and college football is back. We'll talk to you next week.